Good day, folks, and welcome to Blue-Eyed Sports with Allan Noblett, as it is episode 53, and looking into match week 27 in the Premier League and looking back on round 5 of the FA Cup. Don't forget, Blue-Eyed Sports is available here on Facebook. Please send out an invite, drop a like, hit the share button. We're also available on YouTube at Blue-Eyed Sports, also on X at Cyborg Caper. Subscribe, tweet, do whatever you gotta do. I hope you're enjoying whatever platform you use. With that, folks, jumping into our stuff here. Round 5, folks. Full round 5 results. As we know, Coventry City ending the Cinderella story of Maidstone United on Monday in a 5-0 blowout. Jumping on, folks, Leicester City did take down Bournemouth. Was looking for them to move on. Was surprised that Bournemouth didn't score anything at all, but good for Leicester City. They move on. Newcastle and Blackburn Rovers ended up going into penalties, and folks, Newcastle was able to get through, beating the championship side. The Cheaters faced Luton Town and absolutely destroyed them 6-2, as Erling Haaland had 5 goals, so the Cheaters through to the 6th round in the quarterfinals. Chelsea played Leeds United, and that was a 3-2 victory for Chelsea, moving on, beating a championship side. Manchester United taking down Nottingham Forest in a 1-0 victory there. They're only a one-times cheater, Nottingham Forest. Wolves 1-0 over Brighton. I was hoping that Brighton would actually move on in this. I figure they would be a better team. They're in a UEFA tournament currently. Top 10 season this year, fighting to stay in a UEFA tournament and fight for one of those positions. But Wolves able to come up with the win there, and good on them to move through. And the final game of round 5 was Liverpool versus championship side Southampton in a 3-0 win for Liverpool. So, folks, that sets up the quarterfinals. Quarterfinals happen March 16th for the first 2 games, and on the next day, March 17th. So we're a couple of weeks out from the quarterfinals. And ultimately, this is about the best draw almost best draw that you could hope for the lower funded teams. Looking at it, folks, the first game of the quarterfinals is Wolves versus Coventry City, and this is the best hope for Wolves going forward. They got a championship side to play, and ultimately, this is also the best matchup for Coventry City. They couldn't ask for better. I don't think maybe Leicester City's not really given enough credit for the job they're doing in the championship this season after being relegated last year. Looking at it, I think they would rather play Wolves. And with that, that's got to be your 2 Cinderella teams left in the FA Cup this year. Despite there being another championship side in the league leaders in the championship of Leicester City, Coventry City is definitely the Cinderella moving forward here. Wolves, they're not in the top 10 of the Premier League, folks, despite them just hanging out the outside of just on the outside of it. It doesn't look like that's going to be an easy path after that, but getting to the semis for either one of these teams would be absolutely huge. The other game on March 16th, so the opening games, the Cheaters are playing Newcastle United, and you've got to figure that Man City with 115 PSR charges will just beat Newcastle, as no one's really complaining about them cheating for the last 14 years. Chelsea is playing Leicester City, and we still don't know how much Chelsea's been cheating over the years. But with the way in money here, you got to go with Chelsea, despite Leicester dominating the championship. That's got to be a Chelsea win. And looking at Manchester United and Liverpool, that's got to be the game of the quarterfinals. And looking at who goes through there, obviously Liverpool is going to be the favorite going into this. Man United may be capable. It's a tough ask. Liverpool look really strong, especially after already taking down the Carabao Cup. With Jurgen Klopp possibly really being done at the end of the season, and a second trophy already early on the line here, Liverpool looking for more trophies for Jurgen Klopp before he goes, and to try to send him away with the best season possible. But with that, I'm still leaning on Liverpool. So, folks, Wolves Coventry, Wolves, the cheaters in Newcastle, the cheaters, the possible cheaters in Leicester, the possible cheaters, Manchester United and Liverpool, Liverpool. Jumping over to match week 27, folks, in the Premier League. And things are coming down to the wire, folks. We've got 26 games played. And just a reminder that Bournemouth and Spurs still have a game in hand on everybody. With that, the week kicks off on, well, tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock. We've got a handful of games. Brentford is at home to Chelsea, and honestly, Brentford is doing well with Ivan Toney being back in the lineup, but I'm not looking to see them pick up the victory here, even though it's at Brentford's home. I can't talk all of a sudden today. Anyway, at Brighton, at home. Look for Chelsea to take that one down 2-0. My Toffees are at home at Goodison Park against West Ham United. And folks, West Ham has been on a fall since December. And that's, like, it's been concerning. A big loss to Arsenal that really hurt them. They did get back in the win column in a 4-2 win the previous week there. But, yeah, 4-2. They and beating Brentford the previous week. But Everton's defense has got to be counted for something, and James Tarkowski and Jared Branthwaite have been one of the best, if not the best, defensive pairing in the league, and they've also got Jordan Pickford back there. If they can maintain shape and defend well, unfortunately, playing off the ball is just who they are, and it just doesn't. You don't see them play with any more than 40% in reality, and West Ham has been on that fall, folks. With that, Everton has not won in it's either 8 or 9. It's either 8 or 9 matches, and we have not won a game this year, in this calendar year. It's gotta happen. We can't be going this deep and not expecting to fall back into the relegation after having those 4 points given back again. So the appeal decision for Everton Football Club did come back. It's no longer a 10-point penalty. It has been dropped to a 6-point penalty. That moved us up to 15th. So, with that could be huge for Everton. And it would, if we were able to somehow come up with a win over West Ham United, that would put us in a tie for 13th with Crystal Palace and Bournemouth, depending on how they do during the week. And that's only just keeping us out of the upper echelon where we're supposed to be. If we get those other points back, we would be solely in 13th, just 1 point behind Fulham. With that, West Ham United in their fall, despite they got the win last week, trying to turn things around. They have 39 points. They're now tied with Brighton, who are in that last UEFA tournament. So this is really important for West Ham at the same time, trying to compete with Brighton for that last UEFA tournament. They're tied. Goal differential is a big difference, and you don't see that being made up in just 12 games left of the season. Brighton at a +8, West Ham at a -6. Don't see it happening, that getting any closer where that could be any better. Also, with Wolves also being right on that heel, Newcastle's right there, and Chelsea's just about to pull back into it if they can keep a run going. So, jumping on to the next game. Oh, sorry. Actual prediction for Everton and West Ham. Maybe a little bit of bias, but I can't see Everton just going 9 or 10 games without a win. We're hitting March and we have not won a game this calendar year. It's gotta happen. It's good. Please. But a 1-0 win for Everton is what I'm calling for. Folks, Fulham will play Brighton also at 11 o'clock tomorrow. They're at Craven Cottage. And folks, Fulham's been on a good run and trying to keep up to the top 10, but again, Brighton West Ham, Newcastle, they're all in a big fight for that final UEFA tournament spot in the Conference League. Saying that, I think this is going to be a draw. To be fair, I think this is going to put Brighton slightly ahead of West Ham United with a point, and it's going to be a 2-2 game. Newcastle and Wolves, folks. Also at 11 o'clock. This is at St. James's Park. And, folks, as much as I'm happy for Wolves moving into the quarterfinals of the FA Cup, they've had good quality. They're trying to catch up to teams like Chelsea and Newcastle. Hard to say, folks. They're actually ahead of that. They're trying to get into that fight as well. So, trying to maybe get some distance from Chelsea and Newcastle is what I should have said there. But trying to create that distance. Wolves being a top 10 team, doing very well. Maybe some people would say they're a little overachieving right now. And Newcastle, again, has not been the most consistent team after being knocked out of the Champions League. They've kind of been all over the place in my mind. With that, I am looking for Newcastle to have things together against Wolves in a 3-1 victory. Another game at 11 o'clock, folks. Nottingham Forest is at home to Liverpool. And Forest kind of like on a tough run of late, despite the bump in quality since getting Nuno as their coach. With that, folks, I'm looking for this to be a 2-0 win for Liverpool. Lots of possession. Not sure if it's going to be a lot of goals, but it'll be at least 2. Tottenham and Crystal Palace is the final game at 11 o'clock, so a big handful of games there to kick off Saturday morning. But Tottenham at home to Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace kind of on a fall, folks. They've really dropped off, but they're like barely hanging on to that positioning where they're above Everton, Brentford, and Forest, and they're in the Fulham, Bournemouth, almost touching Chelsea and Newcastle kind of place. Hard to say. Tottenham's been super inconsistent against teams that they should be beating. Going with that, folks, I'm looking for Tottenham to take this one down. It should be the quality of Tottenham coming out, and like they've got to stop the little mistakes. If they stop the little mistakes, this will be a good win for them. But JP Mateta, Michael Olise, Ebereki Eze, depending on what kind of quality, even Jordan Ayew, you could have multiple goals out of Crystal Palace in this game. And with that, I do think there is going to be some goals in this one. But I'm going with the Spurs in a 3-2 victory over Crystal Palace. The final game on Saturday is Luton Town and Aston Villa. Luton Town trying to create some sort of momentum here to get back up to Nottingham Forest and Brentford and Everton, as, you know, that's a 4 and 5 point difference now. We're not sure about how quickly the next charge against Everton is going to go. And again, that'll be appealed. It's like with how long it took for the first one, I don't know if that's going to set up a precedence for making it faster for the second. But with that, there are rumors that is going to be if it does go through, it would be another 6-point penalty to Everton, and that would put them back behind Luton Town at this current time. So it would, and if it happened right now, it would drop Everton to 19 points, Luton Town sitting with 20. So they would barely stay up. With that, I'm not expecting Luton Town to compete against Aston Villa, folks. I got to figure that Aston Villa is really going to keep challenging for that final Champions League place. I doubt they can get back in any sort of title fight. I think that's between the top 3. As much as I would love to see Unai Emery bring Aston Villa back up to challenge the big 3, I would love to see that. I think a lot of people would like to see that to turn into a 4 or 5 team race. It's probably not going to happen. Villa and Spurs just on the outside looking in. But with that, Villa, I think they're going to score some goals here. I think it's going to be a 3-1 victory. Despite Luton Town being able to compete against those bigger teams, I think Villa's going to be able to put something together on Saturday. So, with the multitude of games on Saturday, Sunday and Monday are looking kind of bare for games. Sunday, there are only 2. At 9 o'clock, we've got Burnley at home at Turf Moor against Bournemouth. I'd probably be watching that one. I want to see how Bournemouth's doing, and to see if they can really knock Burnley out. Burnley is in huge trouble, tied with Sheffield United at the bottom of the league with 13 points. They do have a better goal differential than Sheffield, and you're asking a lot for them to catch up at this point. And it's just week after week they're beating 2-3 goals, giving up that much anyway. With that, folks, Bournemouth, they're going to take that one down 2-0. And, folks, the big game on Sunday at 11:30, the Cheaters versus their city rivals in Manchester United. The 11:30 game, this should be a great game. It should be close. It's the Manchester Derby. But, folks, with all the cheating that Manchester City's allowed to do, this is going to be a 3-1 victory for them. Erling Haaland on an absolute roll after scoring 5 goals in an FA Cup game. Manchester United still bringing up their young guys and playing them more often. Mainu, I'm not sure, but I could double check. I hate the injuries on their website. Rasmus Højlund may be out for the weekend. I am not entirely sure on that one. If he is, that's going to be a big turn of things. Like, Garnacho's still growing. It seems like it's kind of a young Manchester United side, but I really like that they're bringing their younger folks in. It's seems like a good tandem anyway, or trio. But with that, folks, look for City to take that one 3-1. And then Monday, the 4th of March, folks, Sheffield United, the bottom of the league, versus Arsenal, who have been scoring 4 or 5 goals for the last month in every game. It seems like just an insane scoring rate out of them. It's been quite impressive. I really do expect them to keep it going. And I don't expect Sheffield United oh, what the hell. Sheffield United not going to score anything in this one. Arsenal's going to take this one 2-0. And again, depending on how things go, if Manchester United could beat City on Saturday, Arsenal to win on Monday night, that would jump them right up over... It would jump them over City, but Liverpool... Liverpool's got an easy game too against Forest. Like, I don't know if Forest could really compete in that game or really challenge for that win, despite beating Manchester United early this season for the first time in 29 years. It's a tough ask for that, folks. But with that, Arsenal win would move them to 61 points, move them over City, and then Liverpool 63 points, still a 2-point advantage. Things are tight here at the top, and Aston Villa 6 points behind Arsenal. They really do look out of it. And Spurs at 47 points. They're not coming back into this with 12 to go. That's a lot and a tall order task. So that's the picks for match week 27, folks. Look for some good games in the weekend. Watch for the cheaters to have an unfair advantage. We're cheating too. We don't have an unfair advantage because we're shit managing. Our biggest signing this year was a lawyer. But anyway, hopefully somehow with all the 2 charges against Everton that they can somehow hang on to the Premier League. And also depending on how the second charge goes. Also waiting to see what will happen to Nottingham Forest once they get their charge. And also just a rumor that I keep on seeing after the first charge has gone through is that 4 other teams in English football are looking to sue us, which I really don't understand. But Southampton, Leeds, Leicester City, along with another team I can't remember to mention, are trying to sue Everton Football Club. I don't know how there's grounds for it. It's very confusing. Again, folks, I don't understand how this was done when the Premier League approved us building the stadium. And also, this is also on our side, how we didn't have someone internally to say, hey, we're going to break these PSR rules if we do this. Like, where are the people paid to watch the money to be like, hey, timing? On both sides. On both sides. Like, it's just a giant mess. And the worst part is that both of Everton's charges have to be sorted out. I thought Burnley had 2 charges. Now they're just completely fictitious to everybody all of a sudden, so I don't know what's going on there. Nottingham Forest is pretty much still up for a charge, and it pretty much just has to circles around the sale of Brennan Johnson to Spurs in the wrong transfer window is pretty much what that comes down to, and they did it in the wrong transfer window. They have 1 PSR charge. And before we start, or I guess the league starts to look at Manchester City's 115 charges, those have to be sorted first. So there's been no talk of Burnley's 2 charges. Like, there was 2 charges a while ago. Now there's not. Forest having a charge. Chelsea being rumored that they might be dragged into this courtroom for charges. Still waiting to be seen. But the league already confirmed 115 charges for Manchester City. And looking at that, you can't just dock them 6 points 115 times. That doesn't work. Like, folks, they have at least got to get relegated. 1 league, have all their trophies stripped. Jose Mourinho gets his title with Manchester United. That happens. He'll laugh. He'll rub it in everyone's faces. It'll be funny. I'm not a fan of Jose Mourinho. I'm not really a fan of Manchester United. I think it would just be funny for Jose Mourinho for clips, for voice clips. But folks, like, this has got to happen sooner or later. These need to get done. As much as I hate it, being a Toffee fan, seeing it happen, these need to be sorted out so we can get Manchester City sorted out and into the courtroom. Like, and I'm so tired of the announcers week in and week out talk about them as they are the greatest thing on grass. They're not supposed to exist. They're not supposed to. By your rules. And they're just allowed. And now the announcers don't say boo. Like, they've been cheating for years. 115 charges to be mentioned like 6 and 7 times a game. But no, the announcers are on the payroll. Can't forget that. Folks, I will continue to hold Manchester City accountable for being the biggest cheaters in football. And it's like, can we really look into the top 6 to get this mafia at the top of English football under control and fair and get some sort of fair play going on here? Like the attack against Everton for 2 charges. It is brought up all over their games. All over them. Like, I mean, all over their games. When City actually enters the courtroom, are the announcers finally going to talk about it then? So, like, I can't let it go, folks. Trophies need to be stripped. They need to be relegated. Force relegated at least one time. Lose a whole bunch of sponsorship. Be forced to sell players that they shouldn't have. Being able to afford Mateo Kovacic, Jack Grealish on your fucking bench. Pardon the swear, but I'm so sick of the announcers kissing their ass and not bringing up that they're cheating. And they've been doing it for over a decade. Against the same things that are being thrown against Everton. And I mean, run over and talked about every week. Every week. Every game. Multiple times. But City is not brought up once for their 115 charges. Vice R2. Unbelievable. And I'm starting to be a hater too. Like, I don't want to be the hater at this point. Like, I like a lot of the players on the team, but unfortunately, they should not be playing together. They can't afford it within the rules. When does Chelsea finally get brought in for spending stupid amounts of money every year for multiple years? By the looks of that, they should be charged multiple times over. Do Spurs end up moving up from all those charges? Because it seems like they're a little bit under their own control and don't seem to be overspending, but are they? I'm not going to hold my breath. Arsenal, again, are they overspending? Liverpool, are they overspending? In the same time frame, and I've brought this up before, folks, where Everton spent $370 million in the one season. Apparently, that had to be the stadium. When Liverpool spent $340 the same year, is that within the PSRs for a season? I'm confused by that. If we did that same kind of spending in the same year, granted, obviously our purchasing was friggin' wrong because it's friggin' destroyed us. Like, selling people for free, I don't even know why they're bothering to charge us when we're closer to the bottom of the league, not winning championships. Including championships all over Europe. Does UEFA get on the actual train of stripping trophies? Like, it's got to come, folks. City's got to have their day, because even though Everton's facing the biggest penalties in history, it should be nothing compared to what happens to Manchester City. And I mean not even comparatively. If you're talking 2 versus 115, 2 seasons where we broke the rules. Vice Manchester City breaking rules for 12 to 14 years, continuously. Folks, enjoy match week 27. This has been Blue Eyed Sports with Allan Noblett, and we'll complain about Manchester City on another day.